Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. This morning we will read from the Srimad Bhāgavatam, 3rd canto, Kapila's instructions on devotional service, text 14 till 16. First text 14, which is on the board. Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jam Udirayet Nastabhesya Bhatresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistike. Lasat Pankaja Kinjalka Lasat Pankaja Kinjalka Pita Koseya Vasasam Shrivatsa Vakshanam Rajat Kaustubha mukta kandaram Dasat pankaja kinjalka Pitakaseya vasanam Shivacha vakshanam bhajat Kaustubha mukta kandaram Dasat pankaja kinjalka Pitakaseya vasasam Shivacha vakshasam bhajat Kaustubha mukta kandaram Lasat pankaja kinjalka Pitakaseya vasanam Shivacha vakshanam bhajat Kaustubha mukta kandaram Lasat pankaja kinjalka Pitakaseya vasasam Shivacha vakshanam bhajat Kaustubha mukta kandaram Lasat pankaja kinjalka Pitakaseya vasanam Shivacha vakshanam bhajat Kaustubha mukta kandaram. Okay. Lasat pankaja kinjalka Pitakaseya vasasam Shivacha vakshanam bhajat Kaustubha mukta kandaram. Mataji, please. Lasat pankaja kinjalka Pitakaseya vasasam Shivacha vakshasam bhajat Kaustubha mukta kandaram. Lasat pankaja kinjalka Pitakaseya vasasam Shivacha vakshanam bhajat Kaustubha mukta kandaram. Word for word translation. Lasat, shining. Pankaja, of a lotus. Kinjalaka, filaments. Pita, yellow. Kauseya, silk cloth. Vasasam, whose garments. Shivatsa, bearing the mark of Shivatsa. Vakshasam, breast. Bhajat, brilliant. Kaustubha, Kaustubhajam. Amukta, put on. Kandaram, his neck. Translation and purport by Abhay Charnavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki. His loins are covered by a shining cloth, yellowish like the filament of a lotus. On his breast he bears the mark of Shivatsa, a curl of white hair. The brilliant Kaustubha gem is suspended from his neck. Purport. The exact color of the garment of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described as saffron yellow, just like the pollen of a lotus flower. The Kaustuba gem hanging on his chest is also described. His neck is beautifully decorated with jewels and pearls. The Lord is full in 6 opulences, one of which is wealth. He is very richly dressed with valuable jewels, which are not visible within this material world. So, I will first speak on this verse and then on the next and the next. Om Ajnana Timandasya Chanansala Shlakya Saksharun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shichetaya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutali Svamrupakadamyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiyo Padakamanam Shiyom Vaishnavam Shirupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivan Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sakanalita Shivishakam Vitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jatpate Gaupesha Kopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchna Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshvri Vrishabhana Sutta Devi Pranamama Hari Priye Vancha Kalpta Visha Kripa Sindhu Visha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Nama Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarani. So, this is a beautiful description of the transcendental form in this of the Supreme Lord as residents of the spiritual world see them. Interesting, the last line of the purport of this verse. Srila Prabhupada writes, "He is very richly dressed with valuable jewels which are not visible within this material world." Not visible within this material world. To see the spiritual form of Krishna, we need spiritual vision that's described in the Sri Isopanishad. That Sri Isopanishad teaches us how to develop this spiritual vision. What is the first thing Sri Isopanishad is teaching us in the invocation already, and especially the first mantra, is the Isavasya principle. To develop spiritual vision, you must know what is your own and what is not your own. Interesting. Everyone has a quota. That we have to learn that Krishna is the owner of everything and therefore the supreme enjoyer. The Isavasya principle. And then when we know what's our own and what is not our own, then we have to know what's vidya and avidya. Sri Upanishad explains. And that's explained in 3 verses, and in every verse, vidya and avidya has a different meaning. That in the first verse says, one must have vidya and avidya, and vidya is worse than avidya. That's enigmatic, puzzling, the Sri Upanishad. But what it means is there is the innocent pursuit of sense gratification, like most people. That then, yes, and that's avidya. But then many people in this world, they use their knowledge, their intellect, to get more and more sense gratification. That's called avidya. And that's worse. That is very puzzling. But then it says, yes, one must, in the next verse it's avidya and vidya. Avidya there means knowledge for sense gratification. And vidya in the second mantra there of this tree, which describe avidya and avidya. Vidya means knowledge for making progress in spiritual life, for making progress in Krishna consciousness. So that, and in the third verse, the same meaning is given, avidya and vidya. Avidya is the knowledge for sense gratification, and vidya is the knowledge for making spiritual progress. But then the verses, one must have both. And that's the next step. One must know in this world what is liberated, what leads to liberation, and what leads to bondage. And that we learn in Krishna consciousness very quickly. 4 regulative principles, that leads to bondage, an uncontrolled mind if we are not following them. And then we have vidya, the knowledge to become liberated, knowledge how to make progress in Krishna consciousness. So one needs both. And if one has learned that, one must learn what's sambhuti and asambhuti. Someone remember what it means if you have read Shirsa Upanishad, sambhuti and asambhuti? No? That one must know what is supreme and what is not supreme. That's important. And the first verse says, yes, it makes the same thing that the worshipping what's not supreme, and that's this asambhuti has again 3 different meanings in the 3 verses, following verses. It says, yeah, worshipping what's not supreme, worshipping the demigods. That are sambhuti. But then you have a so-called sambhuti, which worship the impersonal form of the Lord. And the verse said that's worse. If one worships that supreme, that's worse than worshipping the demigods. Yes, one must know. Finally, the third verse of this series say one must know what's supreme and what's not supreme, and at the same time. Otherwise, one cannot make progress in Krishna consciousness. So that's required for developing this spiritual vision. And then, yes, then one must know what's the right and the wrong upashan, what's the right and the wrong worship. What is to be worshipped, what is not to be worshipped. So we need to know what's worshipable. And what worshipable is, somebody what's supreme. And then that means we must know who Krishna is. that we must know who Krishna is, then we can only know who we are. Then Shanma karma smedvam yomi veti tattvatyaktavam punama naitamam etisarina. Krishna said, if you know me in truth, and you know my past and my activities, you don't take birth again. Because if we really know who Krishna is, then we know who we are. And we are servant of Krishna, and then we serve Krishna. And then we don't take birth again if we are fully engaged in the devotional service. But that is what Srimad Upanishad says, but at the end says, all this is not sufficient to see the Lord eye to eye. Because then, in the Srimad Upanishad, the spiritual seeker is praying for Ishvara to reveal himself, the Supreme to reveal yourself. He's praying. And then he's saying, please remove two coverings. Two coverings. We can't see Krishna because of two curtains, two coverings. Someone remembers these coverings? No? Two coverings. The first covering is called Maya. Heard about that? Illusory energy. It makes us identify with this body. All our anarthas are the cause of this Maya, of identifying with this body. That's the first covering. And the second covering is Krishna's spiritual effulgence, the Brahma Jyoti. That we have to go beyond the Brahma Jyoti to see Krishna. What's the qualification to enter the Brahma Jyoti? It's the Brahma Bhuta platform. Brahma Bhuta Prashanatmana Nashushni Nakangshti. Samsavesha Bhuja Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. So that's the beginning of spiritual life. But that's not sufficient. You cannot still, if you are on that, doesn't begin of the spiritual platform, where you have realized I'm not this body. Then you have to go beyond it. So, that's described also in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Someone has read Brihad Bhagavatamrita here? No? Brihad Bhagavatamrita is written by Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami has written two pastimes or two stories in this Brihad Bhagavatamrita. The first story is Narada Muni searching for the most elevated devotee. And he's going from one devotee to another, and one devotee says, no, I'm not the most elevated, you go to this devotee. And he goes always. And that's the whole half of the book. And at the end he comes at the residence of Vrindavan. But the other story is the story of Gopkumar. Gopkumar is a simple cowherd boy, is living here on the earth in Vrindavan, and his guru gives him a mantra. And he said, you chant this mantra, and by chanting this mantra you will get perfection in life. And this mantra is called the Gopal mantra. It's a part of our Gayatri mantra. And he's chanting this mantra, and he's going from one planet to another, all these higher planets, and finally, at a certain moment, he becomes Indra, and then after that, he becomes Brahma, but he gives up the post, and then he goes to the Brahma Jyoti, and he comes into the Brahma Jyoti, and what is the experience when he comes into the Brahma Jyoti? It doesn't see anything. It's an effulgent light, nothing. So it's blinded by this light. It doesn't see anything. The same experience was there when Krishna and Arjuna went to see Vishnu to retrieve the sons of a Brahman. They went also with their transcendental horses through the coverings of the universe, and then they came to the Brahmajyoti and they didn't see anything. and was a bright effulgence. And then, yes. But after some time he started to see something. First he heard some things. He heard the sound of kirtan. And he was looking in that bright light, and after a long time he could see Lord Shiva arriving on a bull with all his associates chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And they were chanting. And Gop Kumar felt very happy in the Brahmajyoti, very peaceful. But then he spoke with Lord Shiva and said, why are you doing kirtan in the Brahmajyoti? Lord Shiva said, we do kirtan to liberate all these impersonalists. Anyway, Gop Kumar was there for a long time, but very peaceful, but there's nothing to do. Boring. So he didn't want to stay there. So the Brahman realization is an intermediate realization. You realize you are not this body. But then you have to go further. Realize the Supreme. Realize that you are a servant of Krishna and develop this love for Krishna, which is easy after liberation. It goes quick. So and from there he went to Vaikuntha, and then he could see the Lord eye to eye. So we have to go to the same process. So Shisa Upanishad explains this process to develop spiritual vision. First understanding what's your own, what's not your own, and then understanding what's knowledge, vidya, and avidya, what's spiritual knowledge, what's material knowledge, and then act upon that knowledge, understanding what is supreme, what is not supreme, and then worship what is supreme, and pray to the Lord. Please remove your coverings, 2 coverings, the covering of Maya and the covering of the Brahmajyoti. That spiritual life begins from Brahman realization, real spiritual life, before we are practicing. It's devotional service in practice before. You know? It's not a real thing yet, but still it gives satisfaction to our heart. It's like a mother and a child. And the mother gives this child a toy kitchen. And the mother cooks, and the child imitates with plastic chapatis, imitating the mother. So that is devotional service in practice. That's called Vaida Sadhana Bhakti. But by doing that, we become purified. And you get already satisfaction from the service. But after becoming purified, after Anartha Nivriti is finished, by chanting Hare Krishna with great determination for 30-40 years, then you become more detached from this world and attached to Krishna, and then this love starts to develop, and then that's called nishta. Ruchi, you get taste. So that's another point in these verses, when you get this taste. Yes. When you have seen Krishna, no interest in anything else anymore. It's finished, it becomes pale. But then when the heart is purified, we come to ruchi, great taste, and then ashakti. Krishna reveals himself in our heart. That there's a realization of the yogis. And that's what we are discussing here. They find Krishna in the heart. And that's their meditation. So, but it's not visible within this material world. We have to purify our heart and develop spiritual vision. Okay, text 15. I just read the Sanskrit and can follow on the screen. Mattat virepakalaya paritam vanamalaya paradhyahara valaya kiritangadhanupuram. He also wears around his neck a garland of attractive sylvan flowers, and a swarm of bees, intoxicated by its delicious fragrance, hums about the garland. He is further superbly adorned with a pearl necklace, a crown, and pairs of armlets, bracelets, and anklets. Purport. From this description it appears that the flower garland of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is fresh. Actually, in Vaikuntha, or the spiritual sky, there is nothing but freshness. Even the flowers picked from the trees and plants remain fresh, for everything in the spiritual sky retains its originality and does not fade. The fragrance of the flowers picked from the trees and made into garlands does not fade, for both the trees and the flowers are spiritual. When the flower is taken from the tree, it remains the same. It does not lose its aroma. The bees are equally attracted to the flowers, whether they are on the garland or on the trees. The significance of spirituality is that everything is eternal and inexhaustible. Everything taken from everything remains everything, or as being stated in the spiritual world, 1 minus 1 equals 1, and 1 plus 1 equals 1. The bees hum around the fresh flowers, and their sweet sound is enjoyed by the Lord. The Lord's bangles, necklace, crown, and anklets are all bedecked with invaluable jewels, since the jewels and pearls are spiritual. There is no material calculation of their value, so everything is eternally ever fresh. So we have, in the spiritual world, we have different laws than here, that are quite different laws, that you have here this spiritual mathematics. In this world, if we look at our body, it goes to 6 changes. It takes birth, it grows for some times, and then when it maintains for some time, that we get byproduct children, and then it starts to dwindle, and then there is death. 6 changes. But that's not there in the spiritual world. That's no change. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the 2nd chapter, what is changing is not really valuable. Only what's unchangeable is valuable. So in the material world, no change. Always fresh. Then you have this 1 plus 1 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 1. So that is our spiritual mathematics. That, like in the Krishna book, we have Rukmini. Krishna is teasing Rukmini and said, "Why did you marry me? I'm a poor man. That I don't have anything. Everything belongs to King Ugrasena. I took shelter in the ocean, afraid of my enemies. And you had opportunity to marry great kings like Sisupal." Anyway, we know after that Rukmini fainted. She didn't like the proposal, but then after that she started to reply to Krishna and said, "Yes, it's right. You are poor. You can't have anything because you are everything." That's difficult to understand for us. Krishna is everything. He's non-different from everything because he's a source of everything. At the same time, he's different from everything. These are spiritual laws. We don't have that experience in this world. That Lord Krishna is called Vasudev, all-pervading. All-pervading. He's a person and at the same time he's all-pervading. We don't have that experience in the material world. There's different laws. Interesting is that because 1 minus 1, I have something and I give it to someone else, I get rid of it. But on the spiritual platform, that's not the case. We offer food to Krishna, Krishna accepts it, and we get a prasadam. We don't lose anything. It's still there. That it becomes more valuable. It's prasadam now. And this is a secret, an open secret, which Srila Prabhupada shares with us. That he gave us his mission. What is the mission? To spread Krishna consciousness, to do Harinam, book distribution. Very nice. It means we give away Krishna consciousness to others. The more you give away Krishna consciousness to others, the more you will get it. That is spiritual mathematics. That we should always remember that. This is the shortcut for spiritual realization. Try to give Krishna consciousness to others. That's Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that he gives instructions. His main instruction in Bhagavad Gita, 1865. Man manabhava madbhakto majimam namaska mama vaishasa satyam te patichane priyosime. Always think of me, right? Think of me, and then you become my devotee, you worship me, you offer me respect. If you do that, you surely will come to me, Krishna says. In the next verse he says, Sarvadam Prichyamam Kam Sarvam Tam Sarva Papa Bhyomoksishyamachacha. He says, give up all other practices, just do that, and I will take care of you. And then we think, yeah, these are the supreme instructions. But no, they continue to until verse 69. You have also 67, 68, 69. These are also his supreme instructions. It's not finished. Krishna says, one who studies this dialogue between me and Arjuna, he worships me with his intelligence. And one should give this knowledge to others, but not to those who are not austere, or not my devotee, or not innocent. And then in the next verse, Krishna says, and there will be no one more dear to me than such a devotee who gives Krishna consciousness to others. These are his supreme instructions. And this verse is from 65 till 69. That's our mission. The 7 purposes of ISKCON are based on that. That's the basis. Srila Prabhupada said our movement is based on the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. That's the mission. So that's important for all of us if we want to make advancement quickly. Then we must take to Srila Prabhupada's mission. Bhagavad Gita says that. Also the Bhagavatam says that. Sushrusho shadadanasya vasdevgataruchis yanmatsevya viprapunyatirtani sevanat. One must sushrusho hear about Krishna with shadadanasya, with care and attention, Prabhupada translates. And one should do matseva, serve the mission of the spiritual master. And if you do both, you hear about Krishna and you serve the mission of Krishna's pure devotee, then that will produce taste, attraction to Krishna. That's where the taste comes from. So yes, that's spiritual mathematics. Give Krishna consciousness to others, and you get Krishna conscious. So Krishna is ever fresh. That's the other point. You never see a picture with Krishna becoming old. He grows until he gets the Yavana age. And then he doesn't grow older anymore. That is because that is his eternal form. Yes. And Krishna is unlimitedly fresh. Always fresh. Unlimited. That's like, where can we don't have the idea in this world of something which is unlimited, without limits. Of course, in mathematics we have all the odd numbers or all the even numbers. Of all the prime numbers, it's without end. But even when you take out the even numbers and only the odd numbers remains, still it remains eternal, unlimited. I mean Good. We have still one verse to go. 16. Kanshigo nalasakshonim Hridayam bodha vishtaram Darsaniyantanam santam Manonayana vardhanam. His loins and lips encircled by a girdle. He stands on the lotus of his devotee's heart. He is most charming to look at, and his serene aspect gladdens the eyes and souls of the devotees who behold him. Purport. The word darsaniyatamam, which is used in this verse, means that the Lord is so beautiful that the devotee yogi does not wish to see anything else. His desire to see beautiful objects is completely satisfied by the sight of the Lord. The material world, we want to see beauty, but the desire is never satisfied. Because of material contamination, all the propensities we feel in the material world are ever unsatisfied. But when our desires to see, hear, touch, etc. are dovetailed for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are on the level of the topmost perfection. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His eternal form is so beautiful and pleasing to the heart of the devotee, it does not attract the impersonalist who want to meditate on his impersonal aspects. Such impersonal meditation is simply fruitless labor. The actual yogis with half-closed eyes fix on the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not upon void or impersonal. So, yes. There are different points here. If we become attracted to the Lord, we feel satisfied. That is a symptom of one who is spiritually advanced, is always satisfied in every situation because of his constant engagement in the service of the Lord, feeling satisfied. Of course, that's people want to satisfy their lust in this world. That avitam jnanam etena jnanaka jnaninan nityavarnam. Kama rupa, dusprananalinacha. We try to satisfy this lust, but it's never satisfied. People want only more and more and more. Already 20 years ago they did a survey with billionaires. They had all at least $1 billion at that time. And the question was, you have $1 billion, what do you want? The answer was practice everywhere, I want $2 billion. They want more. They want always more, more and more. Never satisfied. Dusprenan alenasha. Kamropena kantya dusprenan alenasha. Never satisfied. That I remember in the 60s, the Rolling Stones. You ain't get satisfaction. That was a popular pop song that you never get full satisfaction in this world. You will always end up in frustration unless we take to the service of Krishna. So this satisfaction is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. The 9 Machita Machata Prana Bodha Janta Pashvam Gatiyan Samam Nityam Tushanta Tushanti Sharamanti Cha Tushanti, satisfied. Ramanti, they feel blissful. That just by speaking and conversing about Krishna, they feel blissful. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes In the beginning of our devotional service, one must be satisfied with the service itself, and in the advanced stage, one becomes ecstatic, blissful. But in the beginning, one will be satisfied with one's service. That's the characteristic, even for the neophyte, if we properly perform devotional service with the right inner attitude, correct inner attitude. You feel this satisfaction? That satisfaction is there. But therefore, to attain that satisfaction, we must dovetail our psychophysical nature in the service of Krishna. Bhagavad Gita explains there are two svadharmas, material svadharma and a spiritual svadharma. Material svadharma means one's natural tendencies within the modes of nature that one has gotten from Krishna from birth, which are a reaction of our previous activities. But these are our material likes and dislikes. So we should learn to do for Krishna what we like to do for Krishna. When a devotee asked Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, that I want to serve you. Ask me anything you want to do, I will do it. And Prabhupada's reply was, well, what do you want to do for Krishna? Prabhupada said. And the devotee, Prabhupada, it doesn't matter. Ask me anything, I will do it for you. And Prabhupada became more grave and said, try to understand our philosophy. What do you want to do for Krishna? And the devotee said, oh, Prabhupada, I want to make unbreakable mridangas. And Prabhupada said, yes, do that for Krishna. And he made this glass fiber mridangas, which we are using still today. So it's important to be engaged according to your nature, but do it for Krishna. And that is what Prabhupada says, is dovetail our desires in the service of Krishna, and you will become fully satisfied. We see many, and Prabhupada encouraged that. We see that beautiful painting which was made from Lord Sitaram, which was made by one of our artists. And they used their tendencies, their gifts from Krishna, their capabilities in the service of Krishna. That's important. When we are engaged according to our nature, we will feel materially satisfied and spiritually satisfied. And later, when we become purified, then we can do anything for Krishna. But still we continue according to our nature to teach others. So that's a very important aspect of our philosophy, which is described here in this verse, that the dovetailing aspects, that the term dovetailing comes from the carpentry. There are two pieces, one with holes in, and the other comes something out, and it fits perfectly into each other. That's dovetailing. So we use our material qualities in the service of Krishna. And by that our service becomes a meditation on Krishna, because we do it for Krishna. In the purport here, Srila Prabhupada said, one cannot meditate on the void. It's not possible. You cannot empty your mind. The mind must be attached to something. But we have to transfer attachment. Prasangama champasham atmana kavyovito saivasa dusukrito moksatvaram anavitam. 3:25-25. Kapila Dev telling. Attachment to the material things is entanglement of the spirit soul, but that same attachment transferred to the sadhu, to following the instructions of the sadhu, is the path of liberation. So we must transfer our attachment, our desires, our attachment. Krishna consciousness is a changing of desire. And these verses says, when you have seen Krishna, you don't desire to see anything anymore. I was just reading yesterday the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 2, where Lord Chaitanya's ecstasies as Srimad Radharani are described. Of course, I cannot speak on such a subject matter, but what appears from that is, because Lord Chaitanya in his ecstasy start to chant so many verses spoken by Srimad Radharani, or in the mood of Srimad Radharani. One verse is from Krishna Karanamrita, from Bilva Mangal Thakur. And is a verse spoken by Srimad Radharani. It says, if I can't see Krishna, what's the use of these eyes? Better to die immediately than see something else than Krishna. That there are also verses described in the that's in the second canto, 3rd chapter. There's this very heavy verse. Svavit vra hostra karai samsuta prasapasu nat karma pato peto yatunama gadagaja. Men who are like dogs, hogs, camels and asses, praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. See Krishna, the deliverer from evils. Purport. The general mass of people, unless they are trained systematically for a higher standard of life in spiritual values, are no better than animals, and in this verse they particularly have been put on the level of dogs, hogs, camels and asses. Anyway, that was the feeling of Lord Chaitanya. If I cannot see Krishna, then what is the use of these eyes? The gopis said the same thing, that they were very unhappy that Brahma had made eyelids that blink, because that moment they don't see Krishna, they feel like that. So once you have seen Krishna, you have no interest in seeing anything others. And Sutta Goswami is speaking to Maharaj Pariksit. What does Pariksit mean? Pariksit means examiner. When Asvatthama had thrown a Brahmastra, it had thrown a Brahmastra to destroy the embryo in the womb of Uttara, his mother. And Uttara ran to Krishna for protection, and Krishna protected the embryo of Maharaj Pariksit. And so Maharaj Pariksit transcendentally saw the Lord with his forearms, with his club, protecting him in the womb. And after birth, he was always searching, that examining everything. Where is the person that I saw in the womb? And that was his own life, that he could not forget after experience that. No taste for anyone, anything else. It's like after eating prasadam, you can't eat meat again. It's finished. Hare Krishna, this is the little thing I could say on these verses. Thank you very much. I think we are way over time, I think. Unless there's one urgent question. No? Okay, good. Shantara Srimad Bhāgavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai.